Hurley. I have been bringing you tips and tricks about gardening for 15 years with Points of Horticulture, and I've loved every minute of it. But now, things are going to be a little different. In the Gardens is all about the gardens. Why we grow, when we grow, and how we grow. I'll be sharing the skills I've learned over a 23-year-long career as a gardener and learning a little bit myself from other gardeners in our community. It's all about spreading the love. And the best way to spread the love is to give a garden in need a little bit of a pick-me-up. And what a way to bring life to our new show by giving life to an old garden. And specifically, my daughter and son-in-law, Ann Mason and John Coleman's new garden. Come on, let's get in the gardens.
When did your love of gardening start?
You know, I have loved gardening since I was a little girl making mud pies on the farm where I grew up in North Carolina with my sisters. It was so much fun. And my grandmother used to take us out in the woods and walk us around, show us the trees, explain what they were, the moss that was under the trees. We'd sit there and you could feel that soft texture and you could smell the pine from the forest right there where we were. And then when I was older, my father, who's a farmer, was a big influence. I can remember as a child in the 60s out in the hot North Carolina sun chopping cotton. But it was just another experience of being in the garden and loving the earth and loving being outside. I couldn't help it. It's just the way I've always been. You can let it settle. Oh, here are our plants. Yay! So this love and passion that I have for gardening has been with me all my life, and I'm over 60 years old. So there's a lot of time spent in being in the gardens in my life. We've got some old shrubs here in the front of the house that now have done their duty and they're out of here. These evergreens that were the hedge are called a taxus, and some of us call it a yew, Y-E-W. I love a yew because it's a workhorse, but it's not going to be a part of the new landscape. And the thing about a yew is they grow to China. What we're doing, as you can see, is cutting down all of the yew, and then we're hoping to plant the new plant, which is hydrangea, in front of the trunk from the old yew, that we don't have to actually dig that plant up. I'm hoping, because it's a big, extensive, deep root system. Keep that in mind when you're thinking about re-landscaping and you're going, holy mackerel, I don't want to dig out all these plants. Maybe you don't have to. The big tall evergreen is called an arborvitae. And arborvitaes do serve a purpose, but this is really a focal point here in the front. So let's put something interesting there. Wait a minute, let it. I might have flooded it. The arborvitae's going down, and we'll show you what's going in just a few minutes. So let's get to chopping.
What are your influences when you decide you want to do something different in a garden?
There've been all kinds of folks in my life who've influenced me. One was a dear friend who has gone on into a better place, but she loved gardening. And when I first moved to Michigan, Ann Kinsey was someone who loved gardening as well. She was like my mother here in Michigan. And so she taught me a lot about what grows in Michigan and how you deal with our crazy climate sometimes. And then I went through the Master Gardener program, and that was a great way to learn more about the Midwest and the North and our environment and what grows well here. But certainly living in Southeast Michigan, certainly living in the Grosse Pointes, we have beautiful private gardens and we have beautiful public gardens. And certainly in the city of Detroit, we have exquisite places to go and explore and see. And you know, sometimes going to see things that don't look so beautiful helps train your eye and your heart to find the beauty in it and to try and make it maybe look a little bit better. So all of those influences have helped me to be, hopefully, a pretty decent gardener, always willing to learn and to see new things. Exciting. It's such a different look, isn't it?
It is. It's terrific. It's a 180-degree change.
I know it, and you just can't visualize it till you start to see it. But you had a good statement, because it's important when you're doing a landscape that hopefully it's going to be what reflects the homeowners. And you had said to me you wanted things to be neat and tidy.
Well, that's just something that I think is a nicer look. Just you walk up and you see something a little bit more uniform, a little bit more traditional. It's something that that's just always been a preference of mine that I would prefer. I'd rather see that than something maybe a little more overgrown.
And Mason has a little more relaxed feel about it, but that's the beauty of being married.
Right.
Finding the compromise.
That's right.
So hopefully this garden will be a true reflection of your wishes as well as your wife, Mason.
I think it's well on its way.
Thank you, John. I'm so glad you were here for us to just get you on television.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Gardening is about love, I think. It's a happy hobby. It's a happy profession. And it's not something that I want to keep inside of me. It's important to me to share what I know or what I don't know, because sometimes we can play the game, Stump the Gardener. And you can stump me. I don't know everything, but I sure am glad to share what I know and try and learn more.
Well, congrats, I guess.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. You need to wait on this side.
Like, what are some of your greatest achievements in the garden?
Some things that I'm proud of certainly are the gardens that I've designed and I've put in, some of the gardens that I maintain, and the homeowners are so happy with what I and my crew do, because I couldn't do this without the women who work with me. But also, what makes me happy is sharing what I know. There's a teacher part in me, And I like being able to teach, and I like being able to talk about gardening and hopefully encourage somebody, even if you're a brand new gardener or you're someone you call seasoned, a seasoned gardener. It's nice to share what I know with people of all experiences. It is about sharing. I do love digging in the dirt. I want to keep doing that till I can't do it anymore. That's important to me. So I do love digging in the dirt, but I do love talking about it too. That's why it's fun to be doing in the gardens. And that to me is one of the most important things that I do, and hopefully make a mark here in this community with what I know and what I do. We're on to our next step of recreating this landscape, and that is you got to place the plants to see how you like the placement of them. And with the hydrangeas, that wonderful plant that's called Hydrangea arborescens, you got to know those two names, Hydrangea arborescens, and this one is called Invincible. A lot of you know the white hydrangeas, they're known as Annabelle, and it's a wonderful hydrangea because it's tough. And you don't have to worry about when do I prune my hydrangea. Invincible is a relatively newer variety of Hydrangea arborescens, and it's newer in that the flower is bigger, a big white ball that blooms in June, and then it stands up straighter. A lot of people love Annabelle, but she tends to flop because the flowers are so heavy. But Invincible stands up straighter. So we've placed Invincible in the spots, and they're right in front of where those old yews were, and I'm hoping we don't have to dig up the roots and the root ball of those old yews. And when we plant, we always add compost in the hole and possibly sometimes around the bed. If you've got clay soil, you don't want to dig all the clay out and put in all this beautiful loose compost, because you create a bathtub effect. The rain, the water comes into that hole that's all nice and loose, and then boom, it hits the clay and it doesn't drain, and you've created a bathtub, and then your plant's going to die. It's important, if you have clay soil, which a lot of us do around here, that you add just about a quarter of new material, such as the compost, and then put the clay back in the existing hole, because you don't want to have a bathtub. And then Karen is diligently digging away a hole for our white pine, which is called Fastigia. White pine is our wonderful Michigan state tree, and they get huge. And we don't have a huge place for this tree, but we wanted something evergreen for Mason when she's sitting in her office to look out and see the birds in the tree and give her some screening. It will be perfect here because it won't get too big for the space 10 years from now. That is so important when you are working on your landscape, that you read the tag, that you read about the plant, and that you're putting the right plant in the right spot. And that's a lot to say, and it's a lot to do, so I got to get back digging. If you cut the roots before you plant it, a little trick that makes it successful. I don't know, and that's all you got to do.
Your crew. I saw you guys work together. It's like a family. You're all joking back and forth. It's really amazing. It's beautiful to see the love you guys have for each other in the work. So I know you've made a really lasting impact on their lives, and that must feel special.
Well, like I said earlier, I am so blessed with my life that I want to make it a wonderful job, a wonderful work experience for the gals who work with me. So I really couldn't be where I am today without all of them and the other ladies before them. You know, when you put yourself with other people who love gardening, who have a passion for it, or maybe they're not quite there with a passion, but they're curious, they want to experience, they want that physicality of getting in the garden and digging. When you put all that together, it makes it so much fun. And even when there are times that you're getting into a tough situation and it's hard to dig that dirt out, when you're together as a team, you're gonna get it done. And that's the best part about doing this day in and day out in the 6 months that we can garden in Grosse Pointe. These women love it too, and we're learning from each other and we're enjoying it, and it's so satisfying when we finish the job and we see our wonderful work. I think it's wonderful, and the homeowners are happy. So what greater pleasure could you have at the end of the day but having that satisfaction? Look, she's got chocolate in her teeth, too. You have to give our code words. These are our code words. When you are freshly planting the plants planted, you gotta water them. You want to be sure those roots are well hydrated before it gets covered up. And the only way to know is for you to give it a good drink of probably 2 gallons of water. Water the plant completely, and if your soil is not too clayish, it'll drain very quickly. And then once the water has drained through the hole, give it a few minutes hopefully, then you can cover it up and the plant is ready to grow.
I know I can't be alone. When I hear you say 60 plus, I do not believe you. Because there are people my age that have less in them than you do. Is this part of the reason why you have that?
I think if you are in the gardens, I think if you are physical, I think that when you plant a flower or plant a tree thinking, I can't wait to see what this looks like 20 years from now, or I plant this tree for the next generation. I think when you are connected with this kind of lifestyle, it keeps you young. Granted, you get a little creaky as you get older, but it still keeps you young. So you can't deny the pleasures that come from the physical labor of gardening. It is a yin and a yang kind of thing. It's a give and a take, because sometimes, Lord have mercy, those plants take it away from you. Sometimes you don't have things happen the way you hoped, but that's the challenge and the pleasure of being in the gardens. You gotta wait and see and learn from what happens in the gardens. Pachysandra is a ground cover that's used a lot. It can take sun, but it really likes part shade. And it will spread by these little roots. And so we have to take some that we dug up in the beds and now put it in front of the boxwoods. And then in time, all of this will spread and fill in. The more you can transplant, the faster it's going to fill in. So we'll see what we can do, but this is a Pachysandra. If you have a low spot by the house and you have rain water getting into the basement, one of the best, easiest, simplest ways to deal with it is to get some topsoil. Denise is going to take this bag, that's pure topsoil because topsoil doesn't drop and compress like compost would. So get topsoil, S-O-I-L, soil, and you put that up against the house and you're going to grade it so that the water will eventually, hopefully, move away from the house. That's a little trick even you can do.
Even me?
Even you, Libby, can do. When you get your own house, you're going to be working out there and think all the time, oh, remember when I did this with the ladies?
Is it really special for you to see that your love is really sunken into your family like it has?
It is a wonderful thing that you have children coming up behind you, both my daughter Ann Mason and her husband John, and then I have another daughter, Sally, and her husband Joe. Both of my daughters used to garden with me when they were younger, and they love gardening too. And you think about it, I learned from my father and my mother too, and then my grandmother, and before that, there are many generations before me, and we have passed on this love that we have for gardening to the next generation. So I'm thrilled that Ann Mason and John have this new house. They're making it their own. It's their look. It's what they want. And I like to try and translate that for them with what I know about the plants and make it what they kind of dream about and what their garden will look like. So it's such a wonderful, satisfying experience to do this with my daughter and daughters and my sons-in-law. It's just the best thing going. But the work isn't over because it's so important, even in the fall, that the new landscape gets water. So don't think it's fall and there's plenty of rain, or I have a sprinkler system and it'll take care of it. You got to pay attention to your new plants so they get adequate water, so they get anchored in the ground, and then they'll be happy and healthy and give you that beautiful garden you've dreamed of.
All right, so what is it that drives you to be digging in the dirt? What is it about plants that you're so in love with?
I have been blessed my whole life that I have this career that I love, that is not work, that is not a job, that is who I am. And the fact that I have been given this all my life, 60 plus years now, is the best thing that anybody, in my opinion, could ask for. And that to me is such satisfaction, and that's why I have to share what I know and I love with others. Thank you for being with me today and being in the gardens. It's going to be so much fun going forward with this whole new format. I'm looking forward to all the new experiences we're going to have, the new ways we show you these gardens, what this all brings to all of us. I look forward to exploring the gardens with you next time. Well, we're done. It's been a long day, a hard day sometimes, but a fun day. And it looks so pretty. Whew. Thanks for watching. We enjoyed having you. See ya.